This is Dabu 7. The seaports in China quickly running out of room. As right now, they have an issue that is stacking up in many of the ports all over the place. The frozen food in the existing containers that are cold, that are keeping a lot of food and other things fresh. They have nowhere to go, and they're saying that they have been forced to tell many of these vessels to turn around and go to other places because at these ports, they're saying it's a nightmare as it's just stacking up left and right all over the place. And it says because of a lack of truck drivers in many transportation networks that are closed, that chicken, beef, pork, mostly from South America, Europe, and the US, are piling up at these ports. Now, there was an oil tanker that was parked off the coast of Singapore, and it was sitting there affected by all this because China has cut its consumption of crude oil by more than 4 million barrels per day, making it rather clear here, guys, that this is a logistical nightmare, and it's unfolding as 2/3 of China's economy has shut down. This has brought production capacity to a halt. It has produced a massive demand shock around the globe, and it's dragging down world trade. They're saying that they're going to have to adjust their yearly forecast connected to this, and that the Chinese economy itself constitutes for 20% of the global GDP. And a disruption of this size is going to affect everyone. It's going to have cascading effects. And they're warning that it could cause a global recession. They say that it's not just meats piling up at the Chinese ports or crude. They're saying that there's a high risk that there's shortages to Western countries that are going to go out anywhere from 60 to 90 days and even further, depending on how this continues to go down. They're saying that they warned last week of shock or this potential black swan event that could hit the economy, and I talked about it many times. Here on this world stage, we're keeping a bead on what's going on. I'm breaking this down in further detail over here on D Live. Make sure to get over here and follow us and join us. Going live multiple times a week. We're discussing what they want to censor and cover up on all these other platforms, and we're doing so freely over here on D Live. Links below in the description box. Hope to see you guys over here. Much love.
Sources told Bloomberg that containers of frozen pork, chicken, and beef, mostly from South America, Europe, and the US, are piling up at Tianjin, Shanghai, and Ningbo ports because of the lack of truck drivers, and many transportation networks remain closed. This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 6, verse 22. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. Shalom, all praises, glories, and honors to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Makakudash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who have taught me this truth, as well as men of like mind. Shalom Wakasa to the elect of the nation of Israel, whom are you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians, and Israelite foreigners that have the appearance of the other heathen nations, but are Israelites according to the seed line of their forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. To you I say Shalom and Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua Ratazah. This lesson is edifying. And so, as we speak, there are containers at major Chinese ports with frozen meat piled up inside of them. And these containers comprised of frozen meat are unable to be moved, to be removed, moved and transported throughout these various major cities in China from their ports due to the lack of truck drivers and because many transportation networks are closed. And what this is going to cause is a international chain reaction, in where eventually it will hit the doorsteps of different countries, and they will begin to see a shortage of tradable victuals coming in from one country to the next. Okay, victuals meaning food and water, rations. Okay, and not only is that going to be bad, but also what's going to be even worse is the fact that there will not be any truck drivers available to transport the goods from ports to stores to supermarkets within a country due to the coronavirus, also called the COVID-19. Okay, and this is all prophecy, and we see it happening right now in China, the land of Moab, so-called Chinese today. 2 Ezra chapter 6, verse 22. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. And the sown places in China, and the word sow means to scatter. Scatter what? Scatter seeds. Okay? What does seeds bring forth? Trees. Vegetation. And what does that bring forth? Fruits. Vegetables. Victuals. And all those supermarkets, 99-cent stores, pizzerias, McDonald's and all that has now been appeared unsown because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay? And it's affecting China more so now than ever, and it's also going to ultimately affect all the different countries that it has spread it to more severely. Because you see, this virus, it's a lot worse than they tell us that it is in the news. And that is to pacify the minds of the Goyim. The Goyim meaning the people, the population upon the inhabited earth, the oikoumene. Okay? And ultimately, this is all going to hit the shores of America, Babylon the Great, especially Babylon the Great, man. And let's not forget that the Lord is now sending the plagues of locusts upon Moab. And as a matter of fact, before we continue 2 Ezra chapter 6, verse 22, let's go to Jeremiah chapter 48. Because this chapter here goes into the pride of Moab and how Moab is going to be pretty much broken down by the Most High Yahweh through Son Yahweh Shai. I just want to get a quick precept on that. This is the book of Jeremiah chapter 48, verse 16, because we see Moabites making short clips, so-called, call themselves exposing the government and crying, oh, I'm tired, screaming, begging. And this is what the Lord said. Jeremiah chapter 48, verse 16, the calamity of Moab is near to come. And we see the calamity of Moab being played out right now as we speak. We see the coronavirus killing them out. And you even have Moabites that are willingly spreading this disease by coughing on elevators, coughing on their hands and spreading it, wiping it across different platforms and whatnot. These Moabites are filthy, man. They eat all kind of filth, bat, rats, live animals, and all this shit. The rodent family. That's why the calamity of Moab is upon him as we speak it. And more so because they are proud against the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, through His Son Yahweh Shai, and against their people, the nation of Israel. And His affliction hasteneth fast. And we see the affliction of Moab hastening fast, because a lot of these gooks, a lot of these Moabites are dropping dead, man. You see? They are dropping dead as we speak. Verse 4, Moab is destroyed. Right, and this virus is killing a lot of you Moabites. And guess what? It's going to start killing a lot of you Edomites next, man. And all you different nations. And all you wicked-ass niggas, 2/3 of the nation of Israel, you're going to also get caught up in these plagues, man. Moab is destroyed. Her little ones have caused a cry to be heard. Yeah, making all these videos. Oh, save us. Let the world know what's truly going on. The government is lying to you. This, that, and the third. The cry of Moab has gone up and is being heard, man. All these different videos they making. Her little ones have caused a cry to be heard. And guess what? That's coming right next door over here into America, Babylon the Great, man. Ain't nothing, ain't a damn thing 2/3 of you can do about it. This is the book of 2 chapter 6, 2/3 of the nation of Israel, that is. Verse 22, finishing off. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. And also, this is really specifically really talking about America, man. Because America is that great place that has been sown with nothing but wickedness, death, and destruction, man. This is the land. This is a land of the shadow of death, where there is no order but disorder, where the law is slack, and judgment doeth never go forth, because the wicked doeth compass with the righteous. Where Esau, Edom, is in rulership, and these other nations, man, outside of the nation of Israel. Because right now we are in captivity. Right now we are being oppressed by this devil and by these other heathen nations. America is going to soon appear unsown, just like China is being unsown as we speak, man. By all of their supermarkets and stores being closed down, and foods being taken off the shelves because they're not good. They're spoiled, rather. And there's not even fresh ones coming in. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. Why? Because there's no truckers, man. There are no truckers to deliver goods, foods, from the ports to the storehouses, to the stores, to the supermarkets. And here in this picture, I have what it looks like. Let me go back to its lock here. I have here what it looks like for truckers if they were to stop going from ports to stores to storehouses. What will happen? And I did a video on this before, but here I have this picture of what it may look like. What will happen if there weren't if there weren't any truckers. Now I'll go through this real quick and close the lesson. Now 24 hours after, it says delivery of medical supplies to the affected area will cease. Hospitals will run out of basic supplies. Service stations will begin to run out of fuel. Manufacturers using just-in-time manufacturing will develop competent shortages. U.S. mail and other package delivery will cease. Within one day, food shortages will begin to develop. That's just in one day. Automobile fuel availability and delivery will dwindle, leading to skyrocketing prices and long lines at gas pumps. Within 2 to 3 days, food shortages will escalate, especially in the face of hoarding and consumer panic. And obviously, that's going on over there in China, but they're not saying that, you know. Supplies of essentials such as bottled waters, potted milk, and canned meat at major retailers will disappear. ATMs will run out of cash and banks will be unable to process transactions. Service stations will completely run out of fuel. Garbage will start piling up in urban and suburban areas. Container ships will sit idle in ports. There we go. That's within 2 to 3 days, man. Container ships will sit idle in ports and rail transport will be disrupted, eventually coming to a standstill. And that's what we see right now over there in the ports of China, where all of those containers comprised of piles of food are at a standstill. Why? Because there are no truckers available to deliver these containers of goods to storehouses, which would then deliver a set portion to different stores and supermarkets, man. In the first week, automobile travel will cease due to the lack of fuel. And that's another thing. The lack of fuel. Hospitals will begin to exhaust oxygen supplies. The second week, clean water supply will begin to run dry. And the fourth week, the nation's clean water supply will be exhausted. And that's what's gonna happen, man. That's what's gonna happen over here in America, Babylon the Great, when all the sown places appear on the sown and the full storehouses are found empty. And right now, these are the plagues of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, through the Son, Yahweh Shai, coming upon the planet Earth, man, in the form of viruses, pandemics, and let's not forget locusts. You see? So I'll close the lesson out here. Pray it was edifying to the elect of the nation of Israel. Until then, I say shalom.